video to read and summarize our answers from our research entitled, Why Should Death Penalty Be the Justice to the Victims? According to my research from the article, Should Death Penalty Be Legal? It states that since 1977, 1 year after the U.S. Supreme Court reaffirmed the constitutionality of the death penalty, more than 1,480 people have been executed, primarily by means of lethal injection. Most death penalty cases involve the execution of murderers, although capital punishment can also be applied for treason, espionage, and other crimes. Proponents of the death penalty say it is an important tool for preserving law and order, deters crime, and costs less than life imprisonment. They argue the retribution or an eye for an eye honors the victims, helps console grieving families, and ensures that the perpetrators or heinous crimes never have an opportunity to cause future tragedy.
According to my research from the article entitled The Death Penalty by the Amnesty International, governments often resort to the death penalty in the aftermath of violent attacks to demonstrate they are doing something to protect national security. Any form of execution is inhumane. The lethal injection is often treated as somehow more humane because, on the surface at least, it appears less grotesque and barbaric than other forms of execution, such as beheading, electrocution, gassing, and hanging. Some governments use it to silence their opponents, where justice systems are flawed and unfair, trials rife, the risk of executing an innocent person is ever present.
According to my research from the article entitled The Death Penalty as a Public Health Problem by Walter C. Long, capital punishment is intentional homicide. The purpose of the death penalty is to inspire dread through the threat of performance of state homicide, and it is effective at instilling long-term dread in the persons within its realm of immediate influence. The first way of death penalty differs from the other punishments and is detrimental to health is that rather than erecting to bar to violence, it regulates violence. One of the criminal law's crucial issues is finding a balance between the security of the citizen and the rights of the suspect, between the victim and the offender.
According to my research entitled Family Members of Murder by Remy Christie, every capital murder case involves at least one deceased member or victim. Vindication for victims and closure for victims' families are often held out as primary reasons for supporting the death penalty. However, many people in this circumstance believe that another killing would not bring closure and thus a death penalty is a disservice to victims. The prosecution may consult with the families on whether to seek the death penalty or to accept the plea to a lesser sentence. If death penalty is pursued, family members may be asked to testify at the sentencing phase to describe the impact the murder has had on their own lives.
According to my research entitled Does the Death Penalty Offers Closure or Solace to Families Victim? Victims' families and loved ones should be provided by justice and closure. They are owed by the law. Closure is what family of the victims need. An eye for an eye, they said. This punishment will deter criminals and crimes committed. It also ends in a horrific prolonged period of pain and justice delayed for our victims.
According to my research, death penalty deters bad people to commit heinous crimes. It is what hardened criminals deserve. It reduces the number of crimes and the government need not spend for criminals or murderers and such. Criminals will be scared to commit crimes due to this pardon or punishment. This penalty have specific crimes committed by an individual. Before the criminal is sentenced to death penalty, he or she will undergo death prosecution. A person must be guilty for the crime, and the crime being committed must be worth punishable by death.
According to my research, both as a deterrent as a form of a permanent incapacitator, the death penalty helps to prevent future crime. Those who believe that deterrence justifies the execution of certain offenders bare and proverbially proving the death penalty is a deterrent. And it reduces the number of committed crimes. People who are for death penalty possess that without in a number of major crimes like murder and crimes, homicide will escalate since bad elements will not be afraid to do whatever they want. From dealing drugs to killing other people, the death penalty shall be imposed in all cases in which it must be imposed under existing laws.
So to sum it up, I have here five main reasons why should death penalty be the justice to the victims. First, it reduces the number of crimes being committed. Second, to give closure to the families of the victims. Third, to be fair for the victims, an eye for an eye. Fourth, it costs less than life imprisonment. And the last one is it is the justice that victims' families deserved.